The show.
Hey, thanks for having me, McGraw.
You were Senate Pro Tem.
Speaker Pro Tem.
Speaker Pro Tem in the House.
In the House.
In the House. And you've been out of office how long now?
11 years.
11 years. Okay, so it's been a while. Back when Republicans and Democrats talked to each other down in Jefferson City.
when we tried to work things out and, that kind of thing.
One of the things I remember most about you was you were in charge of the budget, and you got a lot of props for nailing the projections for that year's revenue, right?
Right.
You were the only one who ever nailed it, like right on.
Yeah, we've been doing consensus revenues forever, and nobody ever got it right, so we did it. And once I got it right, I said, I'm not sure I could do that again. I quit.
I quit. There you go. All right, good. All right, so United Missouri is what? What is that?
United for Missouri is a statewide grassroots organization. We have about 80,000 members statewide. We are a fiscal restraint, limited government-oriented group.
Okay, now you're on. We talked yesterday about Clean Missouri.
Correct.
And I said, hey, we got to get you on because there are two sides to Clean Missouri.
Right.
A lot of people hear the one side that it's going to solve this gerrymandering problem, and we're going to be able to pick and choose, and all these elections won't be so gerrymandered, and this will solve all of Missouri's problems. You have a different point of view.
Oh, absolutely. If you think districts are gerrymandered today, you've seen nothing. Clean Missouri puts gerrymandering on steroids. It says it continues to do things the way they've always been done. Well, if that's the case, why change it? But they add a little bit to it. Well, you can't add anything to it and do it the way it's always been done. I think they're done pretty fairly. We've been using this particular system since 1966, and during that period of time, Democrats have had huge majorities. The pendulum has swung, as it always does in politics and in the state, and now Republicans have huge majorities. Those things work out. The gerrymandering in Clean Missouri, you've seen nothing yet if you think that's
okay.
happening.
The process we have now this is only for state representatives, state senators, and state House members. This has nothing to do with the federal, nothing to do with Ann Wagner.
Excellent point. People are
right.
confused about that. They think this is congressional redistricting, has nothing to do with it. And they also believe that state reps and state senators draw their own districts, and that does not happen either.
How does the process work now? How do we draw the districts now?
So the way it works now is that after the census is over, the numbers are brought out, and the two parties receiving the largest number of votes, which is always going to be Republican and Democrat for the foreseeable future,
right.
They send names, both parties send names into the governor. The governor chooses 5 of those names, 5 Republican names, 5 Democrat names. They form this commission that get together and use a demographer, about how do these all stack up, go with the federal guidelines for drawing districts, make sure they're fair and minority representation, and so forth, and then they try to draw a map. If they are unable to draw a map, and it takes 7 of the 10 commissioners to agree on that map, then it goes to the backup or fallback position, and that's 6 appeals court judges appointed by the Supreme Court, again, supposed to be balanced on party, and they end up drawing the maps. And so what Clean Missouri does, and by the way, Clean Missouri, you will not see that on the ballot. You'll only see Amendment 1. But what Clean Missouri does is it eliminates the appeals court backup. It keeps the commissions, but the commissions are just for dress only because they can't change anything that this one person, this one state demographer draws up. They cannot change it unless they get 7 of the 10 votes to do it.
Who then decides who hires this state demographer?
Well, it starts with the auditor. The state auditor will choose auditor candidates, and those candidates will be submitted to the president pro tem of the Senate and to the minority leader of the Senate. And between the two of those, they get to throw people out, and then the person that is left, if they can't decide, the state auditor chooses that person. So that's pretty easily gamed, right? I put in 3 people into this mix. I put in somebody I know you don't like. I put in somebody I know the other guy doesn't like. And so they throw those 2 guys out, and the guy I like stays.
Right. Sounds like the way we do it now is a pretty bipartisan way we do it now.
It is. I mean, there's equal disagreement and there's equal agreement. The last 2 cycles, the commissions have not been able to decide on a map. So the last 2 cycles, the judges have actually done the redrawing.
Now, I don't know what we are. Are we 55-45 state, 60-40? I don't know what we are. Do you know what we are in terms of?
That's roughly, I mean, we're not a 50-50 state.
Right.
That's for sure. And again, the pendulum swings. So what happens, though, is that if you look at most of the districts now, none of them, with few exceptions, none of them are more than about 60%. Most of them are mid-50s, low to mid-50s in their distribution between parties. And the difference really makes the candidate is the one that makes the difference. And part of the problem is if you don't recruit a good candidate, you're not likely to win, even if you're in a Republican district.
Well, but Republicans have an overwhelming majority in Jefferson City. They have a veto-proof majority.
Correct.
You're saying that that's based just on voters and candidates and it has nothing to do with gerrymandering?
Yeah, it's the people that are put up. Again, most of these districts are within the 50 percentile range of their split between Democrat and Republican voters. And what we saw, the big swing we saw was happening when term limits came up, because until then, Democrats held the majority for 50 years.
Right.
And they had, at one time, as many as Republicans do now or more. And so, again, it's just a pendulum swing.
Can you hold that thought for a second? Can you stick around? Carl Bearden is with us. He's the executive director of United for Missouri, and we're talking about Clean Missouri, which is what? That's Proposition
Amendment 1.
Amendment 1. We'll come back, talk more with him about that. 7-Eleven.